Hey, everybody. I forgot to push the button. I'm like all kinds of messed up today. I've got a red solo cup background in memorial to the one and only Toby Keith, a great Oklahoman and a great American. Thank you, sir. And we're all thinking of you and your family and just all that you went through for our country. You're a great man. You'll be remembered greatly. But we want to celebrate another great man today. It's his birthday, the one and only Clint Westwood. So grab a cup. Remember to wear something, drink out of something red. We always remember everyone deployed on Fridays. So it's a Red Solo Cup Friday today. Join us right after this. Hey there, Westwood. Oh, I meant to put my glasses on too. I want to have a little alien birthday party with you.
Yeah, how we doing?
I'm doing good. These always make me kind of dizzy because of the curve on them. Happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You look great for 75.
I'm telling you, you never know with all these med beds and timeline devices and Orion cubes or Orion
Don't
cubes.
forget about the peptides.
Yeah, the peptides and all the things, the Tito's and the gin and the
Tito's
tonics.
and peptides. That might be my new mixer.
It's the tonic. It's the tonic. You know, the quinine.
Quinine.
It's the quinine.
Yeah, that might be it. That's a good mixer.
I'm just saying.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. So where do we start?
Well, I wish there was something in the news that we could talk about, but I'm not 100% sure that there's anything we can talk about.
There's really not much going on. I don't know. Do we go straight Captain Obvious, but then do we miss all the other things first? Or
and I still have hair. Look at this. Still got a little bit of hair left.
Well, with all the Sasquatches you hang out with, might be why.
Got more hair on my body than I got on my head.
I cannot keep these on. I can't see.
I'll take it. I know. It's just like, woo! These aliens, I mean, they probably, when they finally show up, with those kind of eyes and, I can't imagine, having that walking around. I mean, I think we have the advantage. I mean, we'll plink them like it's a carnival, get some prizes. Okay. I love to see everybody in the chat. Everybody's hopped up, ready to go. It's a Friday night. We're starting a little bit late.
I'm so behind on the chat. My goodness.
Look at this. Holy cow.
All right, guys, we were down in Chickasha visiting our friends at Okie Treasure Hunters. And they are closing their store down. So we went down there to say hi and check them out. They still are going to be selling online. And he's actually starting up. Well, he's already been. He's in doing ministry, and they do some mission work and stuff. That leads into a whole. Whew, Lord, I've been tweeting some stuff. There's been some very enlightening stuff with what's going on in Israel and who's in charge and what we've all been told for so long. And everybody's kind of. A lot of people are going to be on their own journeys.
Lord, I'm dying here. Jay Delaney in the chat says Biden invited Winston Churchill for some ice cream.
Well, he might be meeting with him soon.
That's what I'm saying. That's what Jay's saying. I think.
I know.
He's hanging out with Francois Mitterrand and Winston Churchill. It's like Yalta 3. They're all going to hang out together.
They might hang together.
Yeah. In spirit, maybe.
Maybe.
Wow.
Uncle Cliff got kicked off of Twitter today for a few hours, but then reinstated.
Yeah,
Somebody said that he said something about someone named Chucky or something, or that Chucky deserved it, but I do not know what.
Chucky Schumer?
I guess, but I don't know what happened to Chucky that he would have deserved it. I missed that.
who knows what happened to Chucky? Mr. Chuck. Hey, this is one thing I did not research today. I've got a whole list of things. I watched the Putin Tucker interview, but did something pass as far as money out of Congress to Ukraine and Israel? It did pass
yesterday. Yeah, so it did pass through the Senate because little Karen Jean-Pierre, or whatever her name is, went on and she said it's very important that Israel have a fence, a wall. They need to be
borders are important.
Invasion. Yes, it's very important for Israel to have a wall, and so they needed funding immediately.
Dude, let me just say, Israel is the most defense. I mean, this is like I can only dream of having a perimeter around my property like Israel has around them. I mean, all the technology, all the people, all the things.
Don't they have the Iron Dome or whatever?
Oh, yeah, they got all this stuff. They got all these things. And then yet on October 7th, it all broke down and they had no idea it was coming. It just happened. But, more money would have fixed that. Billions of dollars would fix that. So we're graciously trying to help them out. Fix their problems.
JB, that is a Litecoin address. That's what that is.
Oh, what are we looking at? There's like some kind of hieroglyphics in the chat.
Yeah, he's like, what is that?
What? Come on, man. It ain't money unless you know how to use it.
JB. Oh, I do want to give everybody a heads up. If you are an Exodus user, there is a phishing scam right now. There's some emails going out that I do not believe are from Exodus. I don't know. I don't work or speak for Exodus, but it looked a little fishy to me with a PH. And I would, don't ever click on stuff in emails, whatever. Go to your device, use your direct, go to the website, enter your information. If you have questions, never click on links inside of emails.
Right.
Never give your information from inside of an email. So there are emails floating out there saying, oh, it's Exodus and you need to update your whatever. Looks like a cat did laps on the keyboard. Yeah, it's very sad about Toby Keith. That's why I wanted to, although we're celebrating a great man today, Clint Westwood's birthday, I also wanted to honor or mention Toby Keith.
Yeah, Toby Keith. I mean, that was probably, I don't know, there's so much big news this week. And I told Lisa before the show, I feel like there's a shift. Something's happened. Things have, just here we are, just laser beam funneled on, just whoa, time warp. I feel like, you're in the Millennium Falcon and, the stars just, wow, just here we are. We're just like, accelerating into this new thing, this new narrative, this new chapter. But Toby Keith, a lot of great songs. I'll tell you what, I listen to a lot of Toby Keith when I'm out mowing both lawns. Mm-hmm. And it's, I love the lyrics. I love, what he talks about. And right before the show, actually, I was playing Don't Let the Old Man In. And, it's just kind of gets to you. It's almost like he knew, when he performed that last year. And it's, he's just got some great lyrics, and he actually ties into, the big thing, the next big thing that's happening this weekend, at the Pooper Bowl, where we've got the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs in the Pooper Bowl. I mean, we've got that going on, and the Swifties are all showing up, and she's going to make it from Tokyo, the performance. But the Taylor Swift tie-in to Toby Keith, he's the first one that signed her. He saw that talent early on and actually signed her. So, I don't know.
She didn't even mention him.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
He hasn't even acknowledged his death.
It's very interesting. It's, I guess it's, full circle.
Well, kind of thing. There's a lot of people that step on people as they social climb. And then they tell you, you're not in the same market, and they use you for your contacts and
get where they need to be.
Take money from you.
Yeah. Did you hear? I mean, you probably didn't, because why would you? Why would you even care? But I mean, everything. I happened to catch it with the Travis Kelce. Everyone was talking to Travis Kelce at the press conferences, and the journalists that we have, the amazing journalists we have, asked a question of, well, why do you think everyone is so obsessed or, so into you and the relationship between Taylor and, why do you get so much shade and that kind of thing? And his response was very interesting. It was, well, we have the same goals, the same vision, the same, I don't know what the exact language was. We see things the same way, and I don't know. But it was, but he basically, what I got from it was, we have people around us that support the way we think, and I'm thinking, that's interesting. It's like, you place your value in, how people basically hold you up for your way of thinking rather than, hey, it's great that we can do good things in the world. No, it really wasn't that. It was,
that's weird. That's a weird.
It was a weird comment. It really was. And, I heard, maybe, I don't know, this is just a number that was thrown out. He got $20 million to sponsor, be the spokesman for Pfizer. I don't know if that's the case, but they have shared values, I think is the words he used. Shared values. What are those values, I guess? Think for yourself, people.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. What are those values? Doesn't mean values are a good thing. Just means they have shared values.
Wherever they lie on the scale.
Yeah. On the spectrum.
Oh man, on the spectrum.
But yes, Toby Keith, I mean, seemed like a pretty good dude. It'd be cool to be able to hang out with him someday. I will. And he was put a lot of good music out there. And I've always thought that music it's just another form of art to where it transcends time. It transcends a lot of different things, and it hits people in the gut, hits people in the soul. And when you resonate with it, and it again, I ride around on the mower doing my thing, and it kind of inspires me to listen to some of that music. So that's eternal, and those are things that are out in the universe that people can continue to benefit from. And so God bless him. Thankfully, he's not suffering anymore, and that's that's a good thing.
Had a really hard
thing.
A really hard trip at the end, but thankfully he was surrounded by a lot of love, a lot of people that loved him and cared for him. He had a lot of good friends and family around him. So that we can all be grateful for.
Right there, brother. Red Solo Cup.
Cheers to Toby Keith. I didn't actually have a Solo Cup in the house. So, that's okay. No, that's okay. I do want to hit on, well, Westwood's got a whole list, I know, but I've got him, he's muted himself, I guess, for a minute. But oh, what happened to my list? Got turned off. Well, this was interesting.
Hey,
we'll get kicked off.
No.
I want to share real quick, if you guys are interested. I have Westwood's birthday Litecoin code running at the bottom, but then there's also, if it's easier, I'll leave this up for a little bit. You can just scan the code and send him a little Litecoin that way for his birthday as well.
And I will immediately transfer that into dog treats and bones to keep the dogs quiet while I'm trying to do a happy hour show.
That's funny.
I'm a giver. That's all I do. I just give. And so, you give it to me and I'll give it to a good cause. Keeps me going. Anyway, you don't have to.
I'm going to see if I have any on this wallet.
I appreciate anything. So where are we at? Where are we going with this?
Well, we can go kind of wherever. I have a bunch of stuff. I found an old video of that I wanted to share.
Zelensky dancing in high heels?
No, not really.
No, not that one.
Not really what I was interested in.
Okay.
Oh, well, I don't know. There's a lot of things. There's just so many things I want to talk about.
Talk away.
There was
Wing away, Meryl.
People heckling Hillary. I found the video of, and now I can't find it. Well, I don't want to go into the Putin thing yet, because I think once we go there, we will not come out of that hole.
It's go ahead.
It is deep and wide. Let's talk about the Trump cases.
Okay.
So that the Supreme Court did decide against the Colorado, whoever that was trying to keep Trump off the ballot. So that is a huge win. And it was 9-0 was the decision to keep Trump on the ballot. So I think that's pretty significant.
Unanimous
Decision. It was a constitutional decision because it all came down to this section C saying that Trump was not a, what did they call it? Officer? Was it officer of the government or something like that? And so he was not guilty of insurrection, and therefore.
Okay, I want to talk about that just real quick.
Okay.
The insurrection thing, the 14th Amendment, that whole thing was written for like a reinvention of the old republic, the 14th Amendment, citizens, all that stuff. But the whole insurrection thing was referring to what just happened, whatever you want to call it, war between the states, civil war, that kind of thing. I mean, it referred to those people. Hey, if you were in the Confederacy, if you were in these states that rebelled and, fought against the Union, then you will never be able to hold office. That's what that was written for.
Oh.
And so, yeah, that's the whole reason the 14th Amendment was there, that portion of the 14th Amendment. So to think that, it means anybody involved in an insurrection. No, what they did is created a false insurrection on January 6th. Because if you look at the video, you got all these people just walking in, let in, and police, the Capitol Police just standing around letting them come in, not stopping them. If you look at the video, and I mean, it had nothing to do with that. And to think about, when they wrote this into the Constitution after the Civil War, we'll call it that. You can call it whatever you want. If you're in the South, it's a war between the states. But I mean, if you do that, they wrote that into the Constitution because it was like, okay, we really don't want to have anybody serving, the country and representing people if they were, a general in the Civil War, or they were, leading forces, and that's what it was. They called it an insurrection because it was against the Union, the people in control. Wouldn't have been an insurrection if the South would have won, but it is what it is. The victor writes the history. But that's what it was written for. And so now they're going back and saying they're using that as a method to attack a political opponent at this point, when really that was not the intention or the flavor of why it was written. So, I'll take it for what it is.
Okay. That's great history to have. Great facts and knowledge for all of us. So that's where, we are going through this constitutional education of America. We need to know this stuff.
Absolutely. We need to go back and look at what the spirit of it was when they wrote it. What was the spirit of the Second Amendment? It was that, people have the right to defend themselves, and people are the militia. And so you can, make, oh my gosh, it doesn't mean that anymore. What is the militia? We have a military, and you can change it. But the original spirit was that the people have a right to defend themselves. And when they need to, that's, we need a regulated militia, a well-regulated militia of people, the people, to be able to, because that's what happened. It's like, hey, we got to fight the British. What are we supposed to do? Okay, so all you people need to, you're gonna help, you're gonna help, cool. And it's just they understood, the people that framed it at the time, that it's important to make sure that those people have arms, because this kind of thing can happen. And so that's why it shall not be infringed, because you never know when the people need to rise up again and defend their rights. And, and so you got to look at the language, you got to look at why it was put there, and it's just, all of it's been bastardized, and they use it, in the modern terms of, oh, this is what we think now. And, but you got to look at what it really meant, what the intent was, because that's the important thing, the intent of putting it in there.
Interesting. Okay. Another story I wanted to touch on, Joe Biden was found, they found felony charges, or information that they could bring felony charges against him for sharing classified documents as a citizen. There's that word again. But the prosecutor chose not to, or the DA or whatever it is, chose not
And
to
why did he say we're not going to prosecute?
because he seemed a soft or incompetent to stand trial. And so that is insane to me that but he should be our president. But that's also their way of getting out of this and like making him look weak. It's like, no, you don't get to pull him out of there now.
No, yeah, that's your horse. That's the horse you rode in on.
Yep.
That's the one you're dancing with.
Dance with the one that brung you.
That's it. Dance with the one that brought you.
Because
and they're like, hey, if you ain't got the one you love the one you got. And who we got coming? We got Gavin Newsom. We got Michelle Obama coming. I mean, who is it going to be? They're going to switch horses in midstream. That's what they're trying to do. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's going to matter, but
no.
Hey,
4 million illegal votes say otherwise, though.
Well, then there is.
I don't think it matters because you look at the volume of the votes that Trump would get at this point. I mean, you'd get 100 million votes for Trump, and they might rig it to 90 million votes, for, the other person, whoever it is. I don't think it's going to be enough, even though it's all rigged. I mean, but anyway.
Okay, there's 2 things I want to play. I hope this is the one that they deleted Porter Jr.'s post, of course. There's one that is a history thing that I want to play. And then there's one that is now I can't find it, and I just listened to it. I'll play the history one, and while I'm playing that, I'll look for the other one. A minute. Where's the stop? I'll look for the other one.
Don't make me go on a rant.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm jumping around here.
As the chat says, yes, one for rant. Yes.
You can rant if you'd like.
No, I mean, there's so many things I want to talk about. I want to talk about like Putin does. I want to talk about it in a very rational
I know, but
way.
I want to do the Putin all together.
I know.
I know once we start,
foreshadowing right now.
There's some really great background stuff that I want to talk about first before we go into the Putin thing. Because there's two things. I want to do this 1871 video, and then I want to talk about Leonardo and bring up the Italian video, which I've
Da Vinci or DiCaprio
before. Leonardo, the satellite system. We've talked about it before, but everybody's forgotten.
Yes, where they had all the votes, and okay, all right.
And that's getting out there again.
Space Force, very important. Space Force, very important.
I cannot find it now, but I'm going to look for it while we watch this. And then we will go into Putin, and you can rant away. Okay. Now, my next one is, I just have one more, then I promise the rant shall begin. Okay, this is the coup d'etat of America.
Talking about the elections. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Maria Zach from Nations in Action, and we are an organization that's devoted to transparent government,
Maybe they'll play this
transformative
during
politicians, trustworthy
Bowl.
parties, and truthful media. The Italian Secret Service actually received information from Arturo's girlfriend, he considers wife because they've been together so long. Her uncle is part of the Italian intelligence services. She said, Uncle, Arturo came home and said he doesn't understand why we're stealing America's election. They immediately go to Leonardo and investigate. Arturo confesses. The Italian intelligence services reach out to us November 18th. They said something happened. We're watching a coup d'etat in the United States of America. They were fearful of meeting with anyone. There were 2 affidavits that were delivered into Congress, and they were delivered from Italian citizens that contacted us. Intelligence agencies had been trying to reach out because their country had already fallen. And that is what is happening around the world. The intelligence agencies are watching corruption and China come in to their countries and buying off politicians and hiding things and using fraud to do amazing efforts to take over and own property and, in some instances, countries. So today I'm going to play for you an audio tape that should shock you all. It'll shock America. This is the first place I have chosen to testify in. I could have walked into any state. I know my way around. We've already proven my credentials. I know government affairs. I can walk in. And when I play this for you, and why Kansas? Because Kansas was a pro-Trump victor of electors. But I would argue you don't know. You do not know the real result of your election. You also probably have not been made aware of what was occurring in Italy. Leonardo, the defense contracting firm, had some strange occurrences happening with people coming in and out that the intelligence services witnessed of people coming from Frankfurt into the Italian U.S. embassy in Rome on Via Veneto. This instance enabled individuals to come forward and supposedly, according to the Italian intelligence services, work with Leonardo to change the results of the United States election. But more frightening is that they claim there were 47 to 52 presidential elections around the world, and they now have telemetry experts, over 200, that speak foreign languages that are all different. So what you are dealing with is a very calculated attempt to take down presidencies and control countries. So this audio that I'm about to play for you is from an individual who was a member of the CIA and the State Department. His name is Larry Johnson. Many of you may not know, but I am the person not only who hand-delivered that letter to Donald Trump on Christmas Eve in 2020, telling him who stole the election, where they stole it, and how they stole it. And my number one goal was to bring back one of the people who was in the satellite center. His name was Arturo Delia. My goal was to rescue him and bring him over to America because he was willing to testify. There were people that would not assist, that I thought would assist, but what was most shocking was this voice recording that I will play now.
Maria, hi, Larry Johnson. We spoke yesterday. Listen, I needed to see if you would help us get in touch with the lawyer, because after you talked to him yesterday, he went missing. We have people in Italy now and are ready to have the person that's in jail. We've got a national security team that can extradite him and bring him back safely to the United States. So that's already lined up. There's no need for an airplane because the airplane is going to be provided and witness protection provided. If you could call me at your convenience, 301-442-5957.
That's our United States government, supposedly, national security, that are going to go rescue Arturo Delia. Anyone know about that? Probably not. Anyone? Because most Americans had this truth hidden from them, that there was an operation, supposedly, but the number one thing that they were looking for in the beginning of that message was where the lawyers were and the people who did the affidavits who were being hunted to be killed. These are brave people around the world that are trying to tell the truth and having great difficulty with the United States government apparatus. Telling the truth is not easy, and people are risking their lives. So that was the transcript. So you ask, okay, what proof is there? Well, I would definitely consider that, sir, Mr. Chairman and members. That is called proof. That needs an investigation. Where is our law enforcement? It should be at the local, state, and federal levels immediately to investigate Larry Johnson and the activities that he did in the United States during this whole event. You know, everyone says, if you see something, say something, right? We're all supposed to see something, say something, and then what happens? You get blasted. We had patterns of illegal activity across the country. We had people not matching signatures on the ballots. We had witnesses galore filling out affidavits. I'm so proud of the team at Nations in Action because they filed many, many, many affidavits. They saw the computers actually online and there were photographs. So if anyone says the machines weren't online, that is false. So these witnesses that have come forward have also identified over 35,000 illegal cross-county voting just in Georgia alone. And that relates to President Trump's talk with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where he was saying, I know that there are votes there that were illegally cast. He was right. He is actually vindicated in the proof today because the cross-reference with the state documents and the U.S. Postal Service feed shows that these people did not live where they actually voted. Those votes should have never been counted. Now we have illegal votes that are cast using fake residences and business addresses, photocopied identical ballots and stacks fed into tabulators, and many fake, unfolded, unmailed absentee ballots. Of the thousands of affidavits just filed in Georgia alone, would you like to know how many arrests were made? Zero. Zero. All those great citizens who we ask to do us a favor and help us do our right to vote, to go and volunteer to work polls, had no assistance at all in having a free and fair election, and they witnessed the failures of America. So now you should be asking me, who are the people in Italy, Maria? Who are they that actually coordinated and conspired? Because this is where we really break things down and show you the proof of what occurred. Stefano Serafini on your left is actually a member of our State Department who retired just days before the election. It is said that he, in an intercept, it was picked up that he was retiring so he wouldn't lose his pension should he be caught. He was coordinating with General Claudio Graziano. General Graziano is also, at the time, was the EU commander. And they were meeting across the street at the St. Regis Hotel. And it was with Ignazio Moncada, who is the CEO of Fatah, which is Fatah SPA, which is a subsidiary of Leonardo, one of the largest defense contracting firms in the world. They are the largest in Italy, and they received numerous United States military and intelligence contracts. That should frighten everybody right now. Now, they were meeting in his hotel, and in March of 2020, they were coordinating this plan. The Italian intelligence services actually provided me with a cell phone number for the go order, and it goes to General Graziano. So then you ask, well, they concoct the plan. They have to go get the IT guys. Who's going to do it? Well, they already had a guy. His name is Charles Robinson. He is a telemetry expert. He came in a week prior to the election of November 2020. He uploaded mil-spec software, and he had traveled from Frankfurt. He was working in there with Arturo D'Elia. He is an IT guru in Italy. He's known as the smartest. The Italian Secret Service actually received information from Arturo's girlfriend, he considers wife because they've been together so long. Her uncle is part of the Italian intelligence services. She said, Uncle, Arturo came home and said he doesn't understand why we're stealing America's election. They immediately go to Leonardo and investigate. Arturo confesses. What they don't know, what Arturo doesn't know, and anyone else, the Italian intelligence services, with the help of the Finanza Guardia, were conducting the investigation, and they said they were there to check for financial fraud. So they were checking all the other employees saying, hey, you got anything? What's going on around here? Any financial fraud? And one guy was a little nervous and he said, I don't have financial fraud, but something strange happened in the satellite center I'd like to confess. There was actually a second person in his name we had named Beta. Beta confessed to the Italian Secret Service, corroborating the entire story that Arturo D'Elia told to the intelligence services of Italy. This is Arturo. Arturo was hiding in the facility for 18 days while I tried to rescue him. I'm just a citizen. I'm not agency. I shouldn't have to go do this for my country, but I will bleed for my country. And I had an opportunity to bring the witness and try to rescue him before he would be murdered leaving Italy. For 18 days, we hid him. And I personally funded and took money out of my retirement to do this. I can tell you that I was at the last straw, made a recommendation in the beginning of December to drop an article in Italy because I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't get to anyone. And I have 30 years of experience, and I had to wonder, why is it that a lot of the elected officials I went to are so afraid of me coming out with this information? It didn't matter if they were Democrats or Republicans, because I know everyone. I know Stacey Abrams. I know Brian Kemp. I know them all, and they've known me for years, and they've known me to be a very honest person. I will bleed for my country, and I will not cover for my party or any individual that I consider a friend, because we are at war, and that is what America deserves. So I dropped the recommendation and strategy to drop the article in Italy. The day the article dropped, all hell broke loose in Italy. They immediately put out for the arrest of Arturo D'Elia, and they arrested and jailed him. They fired their head of cyber security for the country, and they fired the head of telecom for the country. Oh, just on one day when I dropped one little article. Isn't that amazing? I'm sure that's just totally pure coincidence. So the timeline. We did an extensive timeline of what was occurring as this was happening. We knew that the meetings were taking place from March of 2020 and then into the summer. November, the first week of November, the crew arrived to the US Embassy. There were data thrusts during the election because they said they couldn't keep up with all the votes and switching them. It was through the use of the Galileo satellite that was taken offline. to load the mil-spec software. And let me make it very clear. I also own an IT company. I have friends who are both SEAL Team 6 former members that are communications and IT specialists. You have a document in your folder that explains how the satellites can be used. There are many methods. Anyone get Dish Network? Anyone get satellite TV? It's the same thing. So I'm going to make it real easy for you because I tell you, IT can be a bit complex. And so they loaded the software, they used it. Arturo goes home and tells his significant other. The Italian intelligence services reach out to us November 18th. They said something happened. We're watching a coup d'etat in the United States of America. They were fearful of meeting with anyone. The Italian government heads changed into the arrests of the Sparkle Telecom and CERT. And then the CIA operatives fled immediately from the embassy the same day as the article dropping. That is not coincidence. This is one of the gentlemen, if you notice the sneaker, same guy. That picture is from the United States Rome Embassy. Nobody can get that picture unless you're Italian intelligence services. The camera is super high up. It is a secured facility, secured item. They sent me that photo. They were sending me documents and sending me photos because they knew there was nobody in the United States Rome Embassy that they could trust. And that is a sad, sad, sad day for America to wake up to this reality. It is not partisan, I will remind everyone. This is a whole different operation and a whole different war we are fighting. These are the other operatives that were fleeing on that day. They told the ticket agent that they were returning back to Frankfurt, which confirmed everything. Leonardo actually had their facility, their secure facility for all of their cloud services in Frankfurt, and they recently moved it. But at the time, it was in Frankfurt. They're also looking at renaming Leonardo and breaking it into pieces as we speak. Sound familiar? Maybe something that used to be called Facebook? So then we have the gentleman in the center. There's a gentleman with a very large bicep. And you would say, why do we care about that gentleman's bicep? We care a lot about that gentleman because that gentleman is out of Canada. He is not an American, he is Canadian. These gentlemen, this one in particular, we received a tip immediately that this gentleman, Charles Robinson, had confessed to stealing races in Arizona as early 2000, including Janet Napolitano's race for governor. He returned back to Canada with a brand new sports car and confessed to a fellow coworker while he was working at one point for Dominion. Then he was not working for Dominion. Then he went back to Dominion, and then he left and was working for another company. This gentleman has an extraordinary large bicep. He's very well known by this source. This source worked with Canadian law enforcement, who seem to be a lot more willing than our federal agencies, and they started tracking the gentleman. The sources claim that this is the guy who is so brilliant as a telemetry expert that he was able to load the software and change the votes. He now has 3 women, and there are people hunting him because people have followed my work, and sadly, some of them have done things that are, in my opinion, treasonous. They have gone to Italy under the guise of collecting money to go do an investigation on Italy, and they've taken this information and gone and got massages, rented villas, and they've also gotten people inspired to go hunt this guy down, as well as Stefano Serafini from the U.S. Embassy. Serafini is still in Italy. He does not return to his McLean, Virginia home because he knows there are Americans looking for him. In my opinion, that was very wrong to incite Americans to go after and hunt these people. But Americans are desperate for politicians and law enforcement to do something. So I beg of you to work with law enforcement and make something happen after this presentation because there's too much proof to not have it happen. Now for Alexander Nix. That name should be familiar to all of you. He was very involved in races in 2016 and prior. He was involved in the Cruz campaign. He was involved in the Trump campaign. And he was fined and part of the use of people's data from Facebook, a huge, massive fine that Mark Zuckerberg had to pay. And I always found it odd. Why would Mark Zuckerberg be working with the IT guy from Cambridge Analytica out of London, and yet they're working to help Republicans? That doesn't seem to make sense because Mr. Zuckerberg seems to be on the other side. Well, the Italian intelligence services immediately started giving me downloads on all the people, including sending me their picture and phone numbers out of their phones, showing and verifying that they not only knew who they were, they had relationships. One person actually drove Alexander Nix to the CEO's office at Leonardo in Italy. Now, you must ask yourself, why would an IT guy who has a voter technology actually be going to a defense contracting firm in Italy? Doesn't make sense, does it? No, it doesn't. And so you have to ask, okay, so Alexander Nix, is he MI6 like the Italian intelligence services says? Was he in meetings in America with CISA, the security association that was ensuring our elections? I am told that he was actually given permission and attendance of our election integrity and security meetings in the United States federal government as late as October of 2020. And he is a British citizen. He is not American, and he ran an IT company as his cover called Cambridge Analytica, where there are movies by Brittany Kaiser and others, Chris Wiley, who are 2 very liberal Democrats who came out, they saw something and they said something. And these people know something is wrong, and they have written books, and I highly recommend reading those. So while this was going on, the Italian intelligence services started telling me how things were breaking down in Italy and the Italian government was going to collapse. I'm not one who's ever received an intelligence briefing in my life. I was a lobbyist, state lobbyist. You know many of people just like me. And so all of a sudden I'm being told that Joe Biden called Matteo Renzi, who was the former prime minister, prior to the collapse of the government, and he said, I need you to take down Giuseppe Conte as the prime minister. Within 3 weeks, Giuseppe Conte was down and Italy was in total chaos. That is proof that the intel intercepts that I was receiving were factual. Now, Conte was not real happy about going down, but he was given millions of dollars, we were told, in a California bank. These are banking issues as well. There were movements and pallets of cash, including the information that I supplied to special counsel John Durham. You're the first government agency that I am making this very clear to everyone. John Durham is in possession of documents from me that include the moving of pallets of cash by Barack Obama through the Dubai embassy. Our United States government CIA agent was present. $400 million were moved from there with the help of Italians, and the Finanza Guardia in Italy knows. And they supplied the names of the people in the room. And now we need you to get your United States senators and your congressional delegation, and I don't care what party they are, and they need to work together, because stealing from the American families in Kansas is wrong. And they stole $400 million and put it in the Merrill Lynch in Geneva, Switzerland. That is evidence that is sitting before us today.
So, yes, this is from November 23, but it's resurfacing. And I think it's very timely that we're coming up on the Super Bowl. Something like this, some beautiful bean footage like that could roll at the halftime show.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, and there's a lawsuit that there was an announcement that every AG in the nation filed a lawsuit against Zuckerberg for the proof has come out that they intentionally made Facebook and Instagram addictive to young children and to harm them.
Well, he apologized, in his testimony in Congress, so it's all okay. He turned around and showed his back to the camera and apologized, on mic. You couldn't hear him. There's a lot going on there, but I mean, that's how deep the rabbit hole goes. I mean, the whole Kansas thing. Okay, where did Dorothy come from? The Wizard of Oz, and the whole Kansas with the monetary system. And there's so much to really get into there that we can't get into it on this show. But it is. I keep tthinking of Putin. Just kind of smirking and saying, "Hey, it was your CIA."
I've touched enough other. I just wanted to touch some other stories, hot topics.
It all ties together, though, and that's why I think this week is like this almost great awakening, a seal breaking moment, to where it's just something has changed, the narrative has changed, things are being unlocked, things are being shown. I mean, it's a dark delight moment. I mean, it really is, and it's just that. Again, I'm past all this. I mean, I'm just like 2001. Okay, I'm awake. But there's so many people have to wake up, and I think we're seeing that. I think these kind of things that leak out. I mean, it at least hits somebody in the gut. It's a gut punch to where it's like, wait a minute, what does all this mean? What are all these things? What is all this symbolism? We're getting hit from multiple levels of poison, as far as the water, the food supply, all these things, but we're getting hit from a lot of truth, that exposes all that stuff. And it's just like this, this virtual matrix towards this inundation of knowledge or information. And, again, it kind of comes down to your own discernment. I mean, you've got to absorb those energy rays, the frequencies, and all these things, or you just check out and you just, go full zombie. And there's your zombie apocalypse that they keep predicting and, foreshadowing. I don't know. There's just so much. I don't even know how to get into it. I need like a 10-hour show to get into all this stuff. I mean, really, but holy cow, I guess that's why we'll have spaces tonight. That's pretty telling, the whole, man.
It's the Westwood Show. It's your birthday. Go for
it. Wow. I don't even know what to say. You got me all, yeah. It's like a spaghetti Western. I got all these strands of noodles coming at me. I don't know which one to follow.
Well, do you want to hit on, I mean, I could pull up some of the Putin comments, or do you want to just rant on them?
I don't even think you need to pull them up. Go watch it. I watched it today. I did it in 2 parts because, it's the first part, very interesting. He's doing the history of Ukraine because, I like the guy. I mean, that's what I came away with. I kind of like him. I like his sarcasm. I like his innuendo. I like the way, he's very intelligent, and, and the things he throws out there with the Tucker, about that. You tried to get into this organization and then, you didn't get in, and maybe it's a good thing you didn't get in, and it's just, he knows, he's very aware of history. He's very aware, very educated. And then you contrast that with what we saw last night with the late night press conference, that was, I'm surprised the guy was still awake. I don't know what they had to have him on so he could show up and roll him out, on stage. there's just so much, it is just everything is happening. There's so much. How do you even communicate it? How do you even discuss it? Because it's happening so quickly. Let me start with that. The press conference last night. I don't know if anybody watched it live. I watched it live with Biden coming out. And it was almost, if that did not convince you that this is all a show and that is all happening at an opportune time, things are happening for a reason, then I don't know what can wake you up. Because he comes out and says, I was found innocent of any wrongdoing, and then he goes and uses, well, Mexico decided to close their gates so that but it was actually Egypt.
But he talked to BB.
Yeah, he's talking to CC, EBB, DD. I don't know who he's talking to. And it's exposed. He's talking about things that, he's being accused of and denying them, yet acknowledging them, right there to where he can't remember. Oh, I'm not senile. I remember my beau's death. I remember all this stuff. Yet I can't remember, who I had dinner with. I can't remember the country I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the level of incompetence it's too scripted to not be planned, I guess is what I'm thinking. Because you can't roll him out and put him out there on stage and have him, say, "Oh, I'm absolved. I'm fine. Everything's fine." And then he walked off stage at one point and then came back to the podium. And I'm thinking, and then I contrast that with Putin, who is just sitting back, relaxing. He's like, "Hey, I'm under control. I know exactly what's happening. I'm going to explain it to you. I got a whole binder here. Tucker, take that." And Tucker, everybody's looking at him. There's so many things in my head. Tucker, everybody thought, oh, he's this MAGA, he's going to be vice president. He's this MAGA supporter. And he actually asked some good questions of Putin. He really did. And, I don't like Tucker. I never liked him. And, that's just my own opinion. So all these people coming out saying, oh, this is the next vice president. It's like, no, he's doing what he has to do, in this whole theater. And so he did ask some difficult questions of Putin. And Putin, he uses analogies. This is higher level thinking. He's using analogies. He's using parables. He's using, he gets you to think. And he's like a rhetorical Socratic method kind of guy to where he's like, hey, let's go down this road. Ask yourself this, ask yourself that. Let's ask this question. And he's just very in control. And he's not the tyrant that everybody thought he was. He actually presents himself better than any president in my lifetime, in the U.S. This guy's actually in control and very, very calm, very collected, not angry, not emotional. And, at the end of it, he's always like, hey, let's come to an agreement. On every question, it's like, let's have an agreement because I'm a man of my word. That's what I took from it. Let's have an agreement and let's follow the rules. I'm just looking at you guys not following the rules, so I have to respond accordingly. And right.
And he said he has several times come to an agreement. And then
it gets basically, to use the vulgar tongue, it gets cock blocked. And that's basically what happens. Somebody swoops in from the West because they're defending a narrative, because they're defending, they
want to perpetuate
the empire, being the United States corporation. They're defending the empire. Germany, why is Germany not mad? And he kind of chuckles. It's like, well, they should be mad. I don't know why they're not mad. I don't know why they're not upset that, two pipelines aren't running and this pipeline's not running, that pipeline's not running, and he's almost like, better ask more questions. You might want to rethink your, what your narrative is. And it's just, I get the sense of, and, he actually brought up many times, and I think throughout the history that he went through, he's looking at, we are a common people. We are bound by culture. We are bound by religion. We are bound by many things that are deeper than, the narrative of the day. It humanized him a great deal. Putin, and I tell you what, if I'm running, if I'm voting for somebody, this may get me in trouble, but if I'm voting for somebody who believes in culture and nationality and defending a country,
the people of the
that
country.
That guy is doing what he's got to do those things.
The people of the country. And
I can see why Trump says, hey, if I were president, the world would end tomorrow. Because it would end tomorrow, because he'd make a deal. He's the art of the deal. He'd make a deal with Putin, be done. Be done, because they both are, they'll agree to it and they'll abide by it. That's why we didn't have any wars under Trump. And I mean, Putin's that kind of guy. He's like, okay, you give me a handshake, look me in the eye. Okay, we're good. This is what we're going to do.
That's where I thought it was so powerful when Tucker brought up, oh, but in this BRICS thing, aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid of being, you're going to be bullied by China. You're going to be bullied by China. Don't come be with. And he was like, see, you're playing into the fear mongering, the narrative that we all have played into. Be afraid of somebody else. So come sit with the big bully.
Right.
And
strong man.
And Putin was like, China has been my neighbor for thousands of years.
Exactly. And his quote was, you can't pick your neighbors just like you can't pick your family. Right. You got to deal with it. And you figure out a way to deal with it. And that was what I got from that whole interview is, hey, listen, whatever gets thrown, I'm willing to deal with it, but I got to have somebody on the other side that wants to make a deal. It's like, yeah, I've been screwed. We've been screwed. Russians have been screwed. Everybody's, they all the West, all they've done is, encroach on our borders and, just like they did, again, just like what are the corporation, the entity, whatever you want to call it, the vampires, they screwed the Indians. They screw us. They screw the rest of the world. I mean, these same vampires are in control, and he knows that. And he's like, you know what?
Right.
I'll deal with you. It's just, but you got to admit that you did something wrong and violated agreements. And it's like, you need to come to the table and, acknowledge that. But then I'm willing to have peace. I want peace.
He said, well, now they've done this quietly and now they need to handle it quietly.
Right. And he's fine with that. It's like, okay, yeah, you screwed up. And so you find a method to cover your ass and make yourself look good. As long as we have peace and as we can get along, I'm fine with that. I don't care. Whatever you got to do to make yourself look good and save face, good, cool. If you watch the interview and you watch the mannerisms and you understand the human being and you understand who he is, and then you look at the alternative that we've been presented with. And one point he said, how can I win a propaganda war with the United States? They're the best propaganda artists. I mean, they own everything. And so, I'm not even going to play that game. I mean, it's truth. He's speaking truth.
And he said, not just in the United States, he said, but most of Europe as well, or the West. But he said most of Europe as well.
They're satellites of the United States, though. Why? Because of the money. And it all comes down to the money. And at some point, the money, you're committing suicide. And he even said it, you're killing yourselves with the money. I mean, you're killing yourselves. I mean, you're destroying your people because of the money. You're using that as the tool. That is not the way to do things.
And remember, we kicked them out of the SWIFT system.
Yeah, and he even mentioned it. SWIFT.
What's happening this weekend?
It's in Vegas. It's a Swifty Bowl. All these, degenerate things that are coming together.
Yeah.
Not saying she is, but I'm just saying, that's like the symbol of it, and you look at her, where she was with Toby Keith when she first came up, singing about Tim McGraw and the pickup truck, innocent little girl. And now she's dancing, like a stripper and standing on a black cube. Look at the symbolism of that. And I mean, there's just, something's changed. Just saying, do your own research, trust yourself. I don't know.
A lot there.
There's a lot there. There really is a lot there. And I mean, Tucker, he was, the big boisterous guy, but I mean, Putin was in control. I mean, he knows what he's all about. He understands his culture. He understands his people. And he gave you the history of the people. And I mean, how many presidents can sit there and have that conversation for 2 hours? What I really liked was the analogy that he used of Tucker's like, oh, we got two hemispheres, we've got the, one side and this side. And he's like, well, Putin stops and thinks and he says, I got two hemispheres of the brain. One does these things, one does that thing. But the thing is, if you separate those, if they're not working together, then nothing works. The body doesn't work. And so you can have a lobotomy like most people in the United States have done in the Western Roman Empire, the new Roman Empire, or you can try to coalesce all these things and work together and make it a better place. I don't think our leaders, because of the money, have been making the world a better place. We've got outposts everywhere. We're encroaching on everybody. We think we can dominate everybody. We think we're the Roman Empire. And I mean, how did that work out?
There's also this fact, when they hide something, when they censor something, that's the thing we should look at. And across the board, it was interesting. This is where that there seems to be clear, almost a complete media blackout on Putin's reference to Nazis in Ukraine. And he talks about the history of it and why the Ukrainian people were gravitated to this identity of celebrating the Nazi culture and all of this, and his attempts at denazifying, his goals of denazifying the country of Ukraine. There is this complete media blockout of it. And then they show all this, they go through all these channels, and it's like there's no news. No one's talking about that. That part's not being talked about.
No, that's an important part, because he used an example of, hey, there was a soldier who took people, put them on a road, ran over their heads and crushed their heads. He says, what kind of person does that? What kind of people do that? I mean, that's not human. And so he's identifying the inhumanity that exists, that still is kind of emanating out of that vibe from World War II that, we gladly took over here in Project Paperclip. I mean, we gladly took those scientists, and there's a scramble for scientists and the knowledge out of Nazi Germany. There was. I mean, but, he's calling that out as that's not right. Those aren't good people. That mindset of destroying cultures, destroying and not absorbing cultures and letting them be free to have their religion, but, it's just like America. And, we think that America, that's the first time in history to where, we've had an ideal to where we believe in freedom and we're accepting everybody and we accept all cultures, all religions, but we still have the ideal of freedom, and that's like, what he's painting, from his perspective is like, hey, we want all people, we a lot of people, think about the USSR and think about Russia in general, that kingdom, that empire, how many different kinds of people and different backgrounds are in that. And, the best thing to do is allow those people to be who they are, maintain their culture, and still live under the motherland, still have that canopy of who they are in an idealistic sense. But, on a real day-to-day basis, it's like, hey, you're still Hungarian. You still have your Hungarian towns. I mean, you still have Hungarian traditions, and that's okay. I mean, it's just like how America should be, how we think we are, but we're not. It's all about peace and getting along. And yeah, we all come from different backgrounds and we are who we are, but why are we killing each other over it? And I don't think most of the wars, and if you look back, in modern history, most of the wars really started accelerating when we had a Federal Reserve, when we had someone in control of the money that used the money for illicit purposes, for an agenda. And I mean, it's a big narrative. It's a big story. I'm not, a big Putin supporter, a big, wave the flag for Putin, but he makes more sense than what we have in office right now. Contrast that with what we saw last night.
In office is not really in charge. When he said, I made a deal with, and I can't remember if it was Bush or Clinton, but he said, but then Condoleezza Rice and whoever
on it.
sat at the table.
At this table
right here. And then changed the deal and said, no, we're not.
No, because that's the thing we have to understand as Americans. It's not America that we believe in. It's not the flag we salute. It's not, when the Super Bowl happens and the planes fly over and we salute the flag and whoever sings the anthem, that's not the America that we believe in our hearts. That's a whole different fiction.
That's that corporation that.
Absolutely. That's what it is. It's at a different level. I mean, we've been hijacked. We've been deceived because, hey, it's nothing but propaganda. I mean, that's all it is. That's what we're good at. Propaganda and bombing things. I mean, that's what we've become. And so we've got to get our heads around that and quit stepping in line and quit following the orders and quit thinking that, it is the way it is. But we're $34 trillion in debt. I mean, because we've overspent on doing what? Not closing the border, but supporting, whatever expedition, Roman expedition that we want to support. That's where we're at.
Yeah. And all the proxy wars, the fake wars in the fake countries.
Mm-hmm. And he got into it. Ukraine is a fake country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who's Ukrainian?
When he said that
Russians,
at the end,
Hungarians,
when he said that when the soldiers came together and they said, "Come out and you won't get killed," and then the Ukrainian soldiers identified themselves as Russian,
and they said, "Yes, Russians do not surrender," and
yeah.
so they expired. I guess was his word. They that was it for them, because that's where you're at. I mean, he's a realist, but he's an idealist too, and he's on both sides of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a greater purpose that needs to happen. And I don't know. Crimea, when they early on in this whole war, whatever it was, they voted. It was like something like 98% of the Crimeans said, no, we want to be with Russia, not Ukraine. They voted for that because that's who they identify with. And I think that was the whole history lesson of the 30 minutes on the interview. The beginning of the interview is to paint that picture of, listen, these are people with their own culture and they identify with these things. They've always identified with, a certain culture, a certain, type of community. And, this is just new stuff that we're all, it's kind of going through right now, but there's a big history behind it. There are people behind it. And it kind of got hijacked. And he gave the dates, 2008, 2014, look into Victoria Nuland, and he brought it up many times,
What is this Victoria Nuland thing? I saw somebody else was talking about it last night in the chat. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
Just go look her up and who she is and how she was, pivotal in the Ukrainian situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And essentially having the Western powers hijack Ukraine.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. It's all CIA,
all of it.
That thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, we got to get over the old narratives and quit believing, who, I don't know, trust yourself. Is really what it comes down to. It's all propaganda at this point. It is. And it's coming out of you, though. It's coming out of your energy. It's coming out of your sons and daughters who put the uniform on. It's coming out of, your paycheck every week, every 2 weeks. We're supporting it.
Well, that's why I'm saying, it might be time for a big tea party, big alien bash tea party. Mm-hmm. We all become non-resident aliens and decide that that we're not a part of that.
Right.
I would not. My conscience would not want to fund the killing of babies. That goes against my religion. Or my beliefs, not my religion, excuse me.
Beliefs. Yeah.
I do not have a religion,
yeah.
But that goes against my beliefs and my morals to spend money killing babies. And so that is something that I think that I would need to peacefully protest by not funding.
Yeah. And he brought up in the interview, why is Ukraine destroying the Orthodox Church when that is the culture of the people, and, the Eastern Orthodox Church, which is Christianity, it's a different form of Christianity. It's just like a different, it's like all the Protestants, they got their different churches and, you got Baptists, you got Lutherans, you got, anyway, it's like the Eastern Orthodox Church. And why is Ukraine shutting those down? And I think Putin at that point said it's because they want to separate the soul. I don't know what his words were, but, he ended up saying, no one should, no one has control of the soul. No one should separate the soul. No one should have control of the soul. And there's a spiritual undertone to the conversation. I don't hear that from Biden. I don't hear that from, the people that are running this corporation that we live in. I don't see that. It's just the overt action of, oh yeah, I went to the mass or I did this, but your actions don't reflect that. It's not, they're soulless people. Get to the point, Westwood. They're soulless people. They're vampires. That's why I call them that, because it is true. They are vampires. They do not have souls. And I don't know what they sold out to. I have no idea. I don't know. And I don't want to know. I just know that it's not good. And, don't be deceived by these people running things. And I think, we had a sacrificial lamb up there last night that absolutely got sacrificed. He's done. He will never be president again. And I don't know what they're going to do at this point. I don't know if they're going to roll out somebody else, in his place. But I don't know. The BIC says we're not going to have an election. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's all falling apart is really what it comes down to. And you need to find your journey and path and, get right with God, wherever you're at, trust yourself, reconnect, hit your knees and pray, whatever it is. It's just quit following these people that have boxes of files next to their Corvette when they can't even declassify them, even though it's okay, according to, whatever. And I never noticed them there.
Corvette is your wife's, first husband while she was cheating on her husband with you.
It's all a sham. It's all bogus. It's all Hollywood. It's all a fiction.
Yeah.
It's all a fiction. All a fiction. You know what's real. You know what's real. Everybody knows what's real in their hearts, and that's what it comes down to. It's you. It's in your heart, and you don't participate in those things that detract from that take you away from that path. It's really what it comes down to. And I see, yeah. Anyway, that's it.
That's it. Rant over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a whole list of things I don't even want to get into, but
do it.
That's what it comes down to, though. All right.
Yeah, we want to hear it. We want to hear the Westwood. It's the Westwood birthday rant show. The rant special.
Oh, okay. All right.
Drum roll.
Wow. You know what? My takeaways from I just jotted down some notes because when you're writing things, you do some like freehand stuff and just it's flow stream. The interview where I got Putin, I'm sarcastic, confident, uses analogies, calm, controlled, very in touch with himself, very very controlled, very cool. And the thing is, he could have. He could have said a lot of things that he didn't say. A lot of the things that were unsaid and how he delivered it was very well delivered. It was very, very, I don't want to say sarcastic, but very facetious. I mean, he got his point across without having to, pound the podium and do anything. And I don't know, he spoke truth in a lot of ways.
Sometimes people listen more to a whisper.
Yeah,
one shouting.
Absolutely. And I think that's the kind of guy that I would want to do a deal with. Because I as opposed to some of the other people that we see, the selected people who are in power. And why do they have power? It was because, and he said it was a grave mistake. It's because they weaponized the dollar. And I think we all experience that. We're all experiencing the weaponization of the dollar. We see it everywhere we go. We see it through inflation. It's an after effect of creating just unlimited, just firepower, I guess you could say. The thing is, though, I mean, that firepower at first might be big, but as you go on, it becomes a BB gun to where it really doesn't have an impact anymore. I mean, you can continue to believe in it, and as long as you continue to believe in it,
becomes white noise kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've disconnected from it. I mean, I really have. I mean, I've found ways to just not participate, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't. I see the collapse. I see it all falling. I mean, these people, Chuck Schumer coming out, we need to do this. And, it's just. And this is where I get in trouble because it's like, I mean, why are you putting the uniform on at this point? Why are you serving that dark lord? Because I feel that's where we're at, and you've got to break free from that and understand that, it's not the America you believed it. That we grew up with. It's not. It's just to wave the flag and say the pledge and do those things. It's not that America anymore. It's just not. So we've got to kind of step back and realize that, put your energy into things that can make a difference rather than serving a dark lord, because I think that's where we're at.
Well, and it's not un-American either to call this out. Like Johnny brought up
No.
yesterday, he's like, people, get misconstrued that we're being un-American. We're not being un-American. We're
Not at
saying
all.
be what we believe, bring America back or to the place
Spirit
where we
of
believe
America.
America is, what our true belief of America is.
Yeah.
Then let's make America what we believe it is, to be what we were taught and raised as kids to, be proud of America and to have a flag that we're proud of and to have a country and a military and do the things that are benevolent in the world. Those are the things that we want for America and that's the America we want to build for our children and our grandchildren.
There's a lot of things that need to be built here in America. We don't need bases all over the world. We don't need these things.
We
It's
don't need to be
unsustainable.
the police of the world.
No, I mean, we can't even police our border. I mean, really is what it comes down to. We can't even do the things, and I brought this up before. It might have been on Happy Hour. It might have been in the Spaces. But, when I was in college, thankfully the college I went to, it made me think, and I had to write out all my essays, and that's all the tests were essays, and you had to think. But I had a senior seminar. Everybody had to take a senior seminar where you read like 8 books in 8 weeks because it was 8-week semesters. And at the end of the week, we'd have a big discussion with everybody, and we'd talk about these books. And I can't remember the name of one of them. It might have been a science fiction book by Robert Heinlein or something. But my thinking was, everybody said, the question was, do we go to space? Do we explore space? I mean, is that a good thing or not a good thing? And you just open-ended and you just have a discussion. My thesis was, no, we should not go to space. We should not, we need to go to Mars. We need to go do all these things. No, we need to fix things now here, because if we don't fix them here, we're going to take the same problem somewhere else. It's not that you're breaking free and, I need to get away from this, and I need to leave this and get away from this. I live in Illinois. You should get out of Illinois. And it's like, well, gonna have the same problem somewhere else. Everybody's bitching about Florida. New Yorkers are coming down. I hate New Yorkers. Texas. Oh, all these people coming to Texas. All these Californians, and it's like, okay, you don't solve anything by
Wherever
just moving
you go,
away
there
from it.
you are.
Exactly. Your baggage goes with you. And it's going to show up if it's not there temporarily. You might be okay. And so you got to fix the problems here. And if you can't do that and you can't figure that out, then what's the point running away from it? You're going to be looking behind your back the rest of your life, and your children are going to be dealing with it if you don't. And so we got to fix the things now. We got to look at the things the way they are now and not run from them. And I mean, it's just what we have to do. That's why we're born here. That's why we chose this life path. And I mean, we're in it. We're right in the middle of it. So fix it. Let's fix it. Quit listening to deception, quit listening to the lies and, thinking, it's going to be okay. I looked up the other day, came up and it said, log into ssa.gov and see what your social security is. So I'm thinking, that'd be a humorous experiment. So I logged in, created an account, and log in, and I see what I paid into it. And hey, if you're 62, 11 years from now, it's not that far away now. If you're 62, you can get this much a month. But if you wait till 67, 5 years after that, you can get the full Social Security amount. But if you wait till 72, you can get even more, a bonus. And I look, I'm just.
No wonder they're trying to kill us all.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and I've got relatives, one took it at 62 and one's going to wait till 67. And I'm thinking, okay, but wait a minute. You might get more at 67, but those 5 years that you didn't get all that energy back, you're
right.
Not
with
using
inflation, it'll be worth nothing.
Exactly.
It's those 5 years.
It's a funny experiment, it just is. And, all these promises of the future and how, you're going to get things in the future. It's like, if we don't do it now, if we don't fix it now, then it doesn't matter. The future doesn't matter. We don't have no future. We just don't. And I mean, if we don't figure out how to get along and how to trade rather than go to war, like our founding fathers, like Jefferson said, trade with everybody and go to war with nobody. I mean, if we can't do that, then, we have a military industrial complex like Eisenhower said, and that's where we're at. And if we just want to be a warlike species that just destroys everything and tries to take it over, then, I mean, we're going to suffer the consequences as humanity. But I don't think that's not my path. That's not what I want.
No. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why we tell people, get your possessions or get your assets in your own possession, buy silver, look into Litecoin, learn.
Hey, tomorrow's the 10th.
Some food.
It's the Chinese New Year tomorrow. I mean, all this stuff is coalescing. I mean, it's the year of the dragon. So I feel at a deep level that here we are, folks. I mean, we've been waiting for a long time. I've been waiting for, over 20 years for things to change. Bix has been waiting for, as long or longer. I mean, and it's just your mom's been waiting.
Yeah.
How long do we have to wait? But it's like when it hits you in the face, it's like, here it is. I feel like here we are.
Is the
Here it
Super
is.
Bowl tomorrow or Sunday?
It's Sunday. Yeah,
Okay.
it's Sunday, the 11th,
I hate
2/11.
football, so I have no idea.
I know. I
But-
don't blame you. It's the Pooper Bowl, like I said, San
Yeah.
Fran.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
and
Did
Kansas
you
City.
catch the puppy comment or the dog comment?
I did. Mhm.
What did he actually say, and what do you tie any of that together with Hillary's comment and Trump's comment on about Trump said he was gonna, if Biden couldn't speak at the Super Bowl, he would speak and turn it into a puppy bowl, and then Hillary said that Tucker was just Putin's puppy, and then Putin was talking about the what did he say? He said he was talking about the journalist or spy or whatever that they have over there, and he said, "Let all the dogs go home" or something like that, right?
I mean, that's a whole thing. I bring it up many times because it's like every dog has its day. I mean, that's a familiar thing, and I mean, but that goes back to. I mean, the way I look at it is it's the Johnny Cash song. You can run along for a long time. Sooner or later, God's going to cut you down. So it's like every dog will have its day. You can get beaten down. You might get kicked around. But one time that old alcoholic piece of crap that abused me might fall asleep and I'll bite his ear off. You know what I mean? Every dog will have its day.
Or tie him. There's a story about somebody I know that has a family member back in the day that had an alcoholic husband that would beat the crap out of her, and one day he fell asleep, passed out. She tied him or sewed him into the bed and beat the shit out of him with a frying pan, with an cast iron frying pan. He never did it again.
Well, and that's the thing. And I mean, and that's what it is, that saying, every dog has its day. It's just like, you can create injustice for a long time, and it might be so abusive, and you might think you're a dominator, and you might think you're the empire, and you can kick people around. At some point, and Putin even brought this up, the hordes come in, they get stronger, and pretty soon they're like, you know what we got to lose? We're going to roll in. You can't defend yourself
also
anymore.
Beaten down.
Yeah, and it's
That
like
they
we got
stand
nothing to
up and
lose.
say, "We got nothing to lose."
And we got weapons. I mean, we got teeth. I mean, we've got things, and the natural order will eventually correct itself. I mean, it's just like a lightning strike where you got positive and negative ions when they get, it happened last night in February. We had lightning here. Imagine that. But it got warm enough and the atmosphere got destabilized enough to where you've got all these different ions, and, there's too many on one side, and pretty soon it corrects and you get a lightning strike. Nature will take care of itself. Eventually, you may not think that it's ever going to happen as you're living through it. You may think that it's, when's it going to end? When's this abuse? When is this pendulum ever going to swing? It seems like it's so far out of whack. The pendulum always swings the other way. I think we're close to that point. And I mean, it will correct itself. Nature corrects itself. I mean, nothing gets out of balance too far. It does for a time, but then it corrects itself. I use the analogy of, hey, you got too many predators, not enough food. Pretty soon, those predators die off. You got too much food, and predators. It all balances itself out, because that's what happens. That's nature. And when you get so far away from nature, like I think we've done here in this country, I shouldn't say that, in this Western empire, we've gotten out of balance. We're out of whack.
I told you about how on eBay now it says one of the genres for time frame, it says American Empire.
The American Empire. Yeah, that was a relic of the American Empire. And I think, we may look back even in our lifetimes, definitely our children's, that, hey, that was the American Empire period. It's like, that was the Roman Empire period. That was the Byzantine Empire period. Because that's, it will swing the other way, because you just cannot lean too hard one way. Nature will correct. Natural law will find its natural law. I mean, that's just why it's law.
Just wild.
And we're living through it.
It's just such an unknown future. You know, we've lived in this world where we had kind of a Groundhog Day moment here in the US. You know, we'd get up and we were always in charge and we always did whatever we wanted. And, you know, Walmart was always open and we went to
we
school
always
and
had things we needed,
yeah,
because
and the
you know,
banks
just
ran
because.
and yeah, all those things. And to think that that all could really change and we could have to figure it all out and be building those systems or creating new systems because it all broke and the rest of the world won't have anything to do with us. I saw a video the other day of a guy who tracks the what are they called? Like the big, like the things Polly drives around, the big crates or whatever.
Oh, the containers.
Containers, yeah.
As Mitch would say, the sea cans. Calls them a
Oh,
sea
okay.
can.
Well, there's big ships that put like thousands of these on these ships.
Yeah.
And the really big ones are not coming to America anymore at all.
Probably going from Russia to China now.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
they have land.
They're all staying over there.
Well, and I mean, you got to look at it. You know, you've got India, you got China, you've got. I mean, at some point, you know, we might go full Jim Willie, you know, a conspiracy theory to where, I mean, you know, nobody's going to want to take our dollar. Nobody's going to bring the ships over. They're going to take bills of credit. You know, they're not going to want to ship anything over here because they don't know if they're going to get paid. And if they do get paid, what's it going to get? You know, what's the payment? Again, that's why it's so important. What is sound money? All right, you know, I got to get into this. What is sound money?
Yes.
I say Litecoin, sound money for the digital age. I mean, silver, sound money, gold, sound money. What is sound money? Sound money is something that exists when governments no longer exist. It is, you know, you don't need the stamp of approval of government for that to have value. That's what sound money is. It will exist when everything falls apart because it fulfills the need of money to be able to transfer value, to be able to hold value, you know, whether it be a finite supply or a scarce supply, whatever it is, it's going to hold value. Do you want to be holding, you know, a stack full of dollar bills in a briefcase for the next 20 years thinking that it's going to hold value? Well, obviously it doesn't. Right. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, look 30 years ago, you know what your salary was. Look 30 years ago what a house cost. I mean, you've got to have a lot more dollars if you're going to pass those throughout time because they don't hold value. It's a battery that leaks. So you want to get a battery that holds its charge, its energy going forward throughout history so that, you know, in the future, like Social Security, you know, think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this much a month. I'm thinking, that ain't going to be enough. You know, that's what I was looking at yesterday. I'm like, that's not enough. Okay, that's not even enough for now. Yeah. You know, I can imagine in 11 years what it's worth.
Well, that's what people are going through right now. That's why there's little, you know, poor little people at Walmart greeters because they were told that their pension or their
I was told there would be cake, and there's no cake.
Right.
Yeah, it's no cake. I mean, so you know, you got to look at things. Okay, so take the example of Bitcoin. I mean, of cryptocurrency. You know, 2009 it was zero, and now it's what, $48,000 for one Bitcoin. So it kind of held its value. I mean, because it's defined, the rules are defined. You know, gold and silver, they've held their value. We had the analogy many times in our classes to where in 1964, minimum wage was $1.25. Minimum wage. It's $14 an hour in Illinois right now. So if I had $1.25 of the coins of the realm at that point, you know, 90% silver, you know, 5 quarters, $1.25, and I held them until today, it's worth over $20 an hour. It's probably what minimum wage should be, but you know, it is what it is. But at least it held its value and you can use it. It maintained its purchasing power for the things you need today. So you got to look at those vessels. You have to look at those batteries that can transport your energy over time. The dollar is not it. It's been proven that it's not it, especially when they're going to go full hyperinflation here because that's the only thing that they can do. You know, the dollar becomes worth less because there are more dollars. I mean, you got to put your energy in things that are going that you can control, that you can hold, that are going to, you know, hopefully hold value over time. And you know, the things that I look at Litecoin, I look at silver, I look at, you know, assets, you know, real things, storable seeds, you know, and I mean, just things that give you food, give you nourishment, give you energy, whatever the energy is that you need to get by, you need to store it and have it right now.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I have so many thoughts in my head.
Wow.
I'm sitting here reading the chat while we're
I know, it's like,
talking.
oh, the daylight synapses, freaking firing. You know, it's like a war in your head. It's an info war, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, the community is what gives sound money value, you know. So if we choose to put our energy into silver or cryptocurrency or whatever, then we're more together when we do that, when we make that choice, and then we give the power where, you know, put the power where we want it to be, and out of their control. And then there was one other thing. I kind of Jason and Daddy was talking about the ships. Yeah, I saw that the larger ones, like we don't have large enough ports and all that for the larger ships, but still, like some ships could come over. I mean, they used to come over here. Now they're not. So there's still something. There's a there. That's kind of a problem with the ships and things not coming over here.
I look at myself as fortunate because I got a 1-trip shipping container. It was a 9.5 foot high one instead of 8.5. I mean, it was 1 trip. I mean, from China to here, and so I got, you know, I use it for storage. And I think, you know, will we have the opportunity to get those things? A lot of homes are built out of that now.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of places that do that, but I mean, we don't build them here. They're building them in Asia, you know. And if they don't make the trip over here, you're not going to be able to get them. And you think about all the things you hear about the parts, and I don't know, maybe you and Charlie, you know, Charlie might have some insight on this as far as parts for cars. I mean, are they going to be available? You know, there's rumors that, you know, a lot of these parts aren't available. A neighbor, it's like, hey, you know, I got this old Ford, and you know, this part, I got the last one in the country. You know, that's what he thinks. You know, there's probably one in a warehouse somewhere that you don't have access to. It's kind of like, I mean, it's there. It's just you don't have the connections to find it, you know, on the dusty shelf. But everything in the supply chain says this is the last one and you got it. I mean, you better get it while you can get it, because
that's where we have to start manufacturing again.
Exactly. That's where technology can come in with 3D printers and all this stuff. But
industrial revolution.
All that, and they make it expensive and they don't make it cheap. And, you know, all the technology that's out there can save us. It's just that they're trying to hold us down from doing that. Why? Because they're vampires and they want to maintain an old order that doesn't work anymore. And we got to realize it doesn't work anymore. So why are we serving it? Why are we serving these vampires in castles, you know, and, you know, give them a little bit of crumb, you know. No, F you, Charles, you know, whatever, bye. You know, I'm done with the whole royalty structure, the bloodline. Bye-bye.
Not my Charles, but he means
no, Charles, King Charles III or whatever he is. I don't know what he is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That whole joke.
Thing. But so I thought about that. If he croaks, you know, there was supposedly that agreement where all our taxes go to them. But if he croaks, supposedly neither one of those kids were his.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe not.
This is all hypothetical, woo-woo, right. Theoretical.
We're going woo-woo now.
Whatever. What if we're drinking at the bar? Then we wouldn't have taxes. That agreement's been broken.
Why do we have them anyway? Because it really
shouldn't have them anyway. But there was obviously some slavery agreement that we were signed into, or whatever.
Right? All the legalese, all the contractual law that they've, you know, you go back to the whole 14th Amendment thing, how we started this. You know, it's all BS. It's all corporate nonsense.
Yeah, it is interesting that the 14th Amendment has. Is it the 25th or the 14th?
I think the 25th is the one where they can remove an incompetent president, when Trump said that, well, you know, be careful. You know, it might get used against you. I'm just saying.
The 14th is?
The 25th.
Okay,
but the 14th is the whole thing after the Civil War, to where they, you know, hey, citizens and insurrections and all that stuff.
Okay, so it's interesting that there was, so the 14th had the insurrection stuff in it. But the 14th Amendment also was the one that made us all citizens or slaves.
Basically.
As well.
Yeah.
So remember when you told me I was looking into helping that American Promise or whatever, but they were wanting to rewrite or open up the Second Amendment. I think it was the Second or First Amendment. And you were like, be careful, because if you go and relitigate any amendment or have whatever, like you can break it or they can.
Yeah, if you have a constitutional convention, then everything's on the table. Next thing you know, well, let's rewrite this one.
Let's tweak this.
Yeah,
And tweak
let's do
that.
this. Let's do that. Let's do that. I don't want to touch anything at this point. Just get.
Get your dirty hands off it.
I know what the rights are, and we just need to enforce those. You know, we need to give those energy, those rights, because it gets dangerous once you start opening that can of worms. But again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we had how many sheriffs trying to meet with Biden, and then he doesn't want to have a meeting?
Well, he's probably afraid he'll be arrested.
Right. I mean, you think about it. I mean, he doesn't want to meet with the people that are looking for legitimate solutions.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess it really doesn't matter. I mean, but it does matter. I mean, and that's why we have a constitution to enunciate the rules, but nobody's following the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And people are trying to follow the rules, but the people who are elected to follow the rules, supposedly or selected, whatever, they just don't care. So, yeah.
What does it take is there an action or a process for we the people to request military support or our National Guard, state National Guard support? Or
that's why we have the Second Amendment. We are the militia. I mean, God forbid it gets to that point, but that's why it's there.
Okay.
I mean, you can keep playing in the casino.
No one's coming to save you.
Right. Basically, save yourself, and save your community. I mean, that's kind of where I think we're at. And I think it's important for states to assert those rights, because at least they have the body politic and the force and the energy to be able to stand alone. Like if a state like Texas said, no, we're going to do what we're going to do. Okay, well, then what do you do? What do you do? Send in the military? And then another state says, what? Arkansas or Mississippi or Louisiana says, what the hell? No, or, you're going to send in forces to try, and then you go full blown, war between the states again, but it's not really a war between the states. It's a war against centralization.
Yes.
And it's okay. We just wanted you to protect the border and protect our rights. That's the only reason DC exists. We just wanted you to, do the things you were supposed to do and you didn't do it. So I guess we got to be on our own. And, the states have to stand up and assert their rights and say, we don't want anything from you anymore. You screwed us. And we just want to live like we thought we were supposed to live when we pledged allegiance to the flag in grade school. That's all we want. When we studied the Constitution and had to pass the test. I mean, that's just what we want. We're not asking for anything. We're just saying this is the way it's supposed to be, because that's we the people established and ordained this Constitution for the people. That's all we want. But you all sold us out because you're vampires. And you got other agendas, and you found other tools that aren't constitutional, like the fake money, the dollar bill, y'all. Like this piece of crap that I've got in my pocket. I mean, seriously. They mock us by putting Washington on the front and putting owls and aliens and pyramids and eyes all over it. I mean, they've just mocked us forever, and I'm sick and tired of being mocked.
They steal your energy.
Just get sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's done.
Yeah. It's insane, really. It really is.
Pay me with Litecoin, pay me with silver, and you know what? I think I'll figure it out. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess I can see the SOC coming together more and more.
For those of you in Rio Linda, Self-Organizing Collective, the SOC.
Yes. Where people just like we were talking today to this lady that really great lady. She's at Mitzi's thrift store in Chickasha, Oklahoma. And her mother bought the whole building downtown Chickasha, Oklahoma for $15,000 30 years ago. It's worth over $500,000 now. She leases it out to multiple people. She owns 3 businesses herself. But it's hard assets. It's sound money in her possession, right? Yes. And it's generational. Her daughter's going to have a business there. She just graduated high school. She's going to have a cosmetology business in part of one of the business or buildings. And we were talking about like all these items, and I don't know, it's really cool watching her have pride in the community. And then we were talking about like, you know, how you feel trapped in this system, and then because the way they didn't teach the kids how to even read or write cursive. And she was like, I didn't know they didn't teach my daughter how to write cursive in school, you know. And
yeah, I trusted them. I mean, you know, I was paying them all this money, and I thought they were good people. And you
that's what
know, they
she
raised
said. I
my
was trying to
taxes,
work.
and I go, yes. And
Yeah, I was trying to work and, you know, take care of my family and
yeah,
all this. And then I find out like my daughter doesn't even, and now she's, you know, graduated early and went to cosmetology school and all this, and she doesn't know how to do cursive. And like,
can't
I
make
want to teach
change,
her.
can't write in cursive.
Yeah. So, but that's what they wanted us to not know how to read the Constitution. They wanted us to be, you know, at their mercy, you know.
Just you know, give me more, give me my handout, give me what I'm entitled to, give me my thing, give me my, you know. Here's a tweet that I saw today. Stake put me onto this. He said, this is a tweet, I just retweeted it. A 262,000 square foot building in Ohio, 262,000 square feet, big office building. It sold for $2.4 million. Basically, it broke down to $9 a square foot. And I mean, you go look at the picture of this thing, and it's like this big freaking, looks like a college building with all the parking lots and all this stuff. $2.4 million, $9 a square foot. I mean, anybody that's a builder, you know, it's like good luck getting a building for $100 a square foot built.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I mean, you look at this and it's happening. And I've seen several buildings like this, commercial real estate, just imploding to where they're just take it, give me something for it.
Yeah,
that's where we're at. I mean, you know,
that's what I'm hoping for.
yeah, exactly. You know, as the Javier says, give me that diesel pusher, baby. Give me a good deal on that. You know, give me that RV, give me that home. You know, give me that thing.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't get it unless you're positioned outside of a deteriorating, corrupt system, a vampire casino. You got to have money that you can buy it with. You got to have something to hold value.
And I'm sorry, that's what I was talking with her about. You know, we were talking about, well, then we have to build community to trade with each other, and we have to be able to barter and trade like with silver, or educate people about crypto.
With real assets of some sort.
With real assets, and quit using their dirty money and their system that they want us to be stupid and sick and unhealthy to be in their system. So let's not do that. Let them play their typewriter games, you know, and we'll live in our digital world.
Ask your doctor if it's right for you.
Yes. I'm
and
sure
I want everybody, if you're watching the Super Bowl, I watch it because like I watch the mainstream news for their narrative, their agenda, because that's what the empire is putting out there, messaging, and I like to see it because I want to get a taste of the dark side, and know I'm willing to go there and see it and feel it, because I want to know where they're coming from, you know, what weapons they're using. And so I'll watch the Super Bowl, I'll watch all the BS. And so watch the commercials, you know, who's sponsoring it. And, you know, it's in Vegas, of course, you know, Lord. It's just, you know, look where the money is being spent. I mean, you know, we got Mr. Pfizer, as Aaron Rodgers says, Mr. Pfizer, you know, the big tight end, 87, you know, dating Taylor Swift, you know, the big superstar.
What if he like drops dead of a heart attack?
Lord.
At the Super Bowl.
Think about that. DeMar Hamlin, you know, the guy that died on the field and was resurrected. He didn't play at all last year, but you know, he's still on the team. And I'm like, well, why is he not playing if he's healthy? Maybe he's not healthy. Maybe it's not him. I don't know.
Maybe he can't,
you know, but it's crazy that how soon we forget, you know, all these things. And we got turbo cancers exploding. Mm-hmm. And then what did Pfizer do? They go out and buy a company that specializes in treating turbo cancer. You know, so a problem, reaction, solution. I mean, it's all such a sham, and you can participate into it or not. And that's, I think, the lesson that was learned, you know, since 2020, year zero, as Cliff called it. You know, you can choose to participate and give your energy to it and be a slave to it, if that's what you want to do, or you can just say no. And if you say no, you know, it's worked out for a lot of people who said no, because the courts have agreed with them that you had the right to say no. you did not have to follow the mandates, or the executive orders. In Illinois, J.B. Prickster, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, no, I don't need to do that. I'm not going to do that. So what are you going to do about it? Well, you need to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. So F you. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, we the people, we decide. We are the energy, and they're trying to feed off of us, and they're trying to deceive us, and they've got all the tools to do it. And they, it's just no. Just say no. Just say no. That's all you got to do. No. Go through your life. Just say no. No.
There's a video that I would like.
Act like you're hard of hearing. The old people. My grandfather you couldn't hear anything. My dad's kind of getting that way, and that's an advantage as an old guy. It's like he's like he can't hear anybody. It's like I just walk out Walmart. It's like I check, like you said with Charlie. To check your receipt. Just act like you don't hear anybody. It's like just ignore it.
Yeah, you ignore it. You're not checking my receipt.
F you. What?
You're not going to stop the person stealing things. You're not going to check my receipt when I actually paid and checked myself out.
Right.
There is this video, which if I played it, I probably would be accused of hate something, even though there's no hate anything in it. So if you will go to the link in the description of this video and jump on the Telegram and find this video, it's incredible, and it tells you exactly why World War II never ended. And when Putin was talking about the Nazis, if you tie all of that together, have that in your mind, and why our dollars are going to Ukraine, and who is in charge, and why Pfizer was being funded, and why they wanted to jab everybody up. The tests never ended.
I wish Tucker, if he were a real journalist, would have asked about the biolabs. But, it was a 2-hour interview, and it was a great interview. But, ask about the biolabs. What else is going on there? What kind of trafficking is going on there? What's happening there that we don't know about? Because Putin's giving speeches on that stuff. I mean, you could ask those kinds of questions. Just saying.
Yep. And who's doing it?
Yeah, and who funds it?
We fund it.
Yeah.
But who's doing it and who's in charge of it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear.
Yeah, I mean, we have to denazify things. Denazification. I mean, maybe that's the new slogan. Denazification. That's what I'm for. Because there's absolutely no doubt about it that you've got a puppet in charge in Ukraine. He is an actor, and you look at his old videos. They're out there on YouTube. Out there, you can look them up. He was nothing but a who's president in 1985? Ronald Reagan, the actor. Was he married to Jane Wyman? Back to the Future stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's all theater at this point. It really is. It's all theater at this point. And he's got multi-million-dollar mansions. He's got some in Florida, and what's your price is really what it comes down to. The Super Bowl's coming up. It's real life. What's your price? I mean, there are people who are good with it. We're good with it. We're good with it. I need this much money, and I'm good. And I'm gonna sponsor whatever you throw at me, and you tell me what to do, brother, and I'm gonna do it. I mean, is that the kind of life you want to lead? Is that who you want to be? You want to be a sellout? People talk about the mark of the beast. I mean, it's here. I mean, people are taking it every day. I mean, it's your choice. I mean, it comes down. It's your choice. You can say no. And it's not a hard thing to do. I mean, it's an easy thing to do. It's a freedom thing to where you say, no, I'm done. Sun comes up. I'm good. I was out in the sun today. I got my flip-flops on. I got POFF, proof of flip-flops. Right here, I can't even do the cheerleader leg kick to get it up. But I got shorts and flip-flops on right now because it's just I enjoy life. I enjoy the sun. I enjoy, the sun coming up. I enjoy, everything. I mean, just life. And you have to enjoy life, or you choose the path of death and destruction, and it does not do anything for your soul. In that interview, Putin said something about, the soul. It's about the soul and the soul of people. You can destroy the church. You can destroy, everything that is symbolic of it, the actions that people take, and, the figments the things that, you put out there and project. No, it comes down to the heart, it comes down to the soul. And that's, you got to know what your soul is and what it resonates with. Does it resonate with the people, or does it resonate with a different agenda, a vampire agenda? And, that's your choice. I mean, you choose every day whether or not to take the mark.
Yeah.
Up to you.
I found one picture of Taylor where her Adam's apple was showing really big, but I didn't know if somebody tweaked that. So then I went back and I just found this one. It says that the watch that she's wearing, covering up her Adam's apple, has the hands to the death. What does it say? Doomsday clock.
Oh yeah, like how many minutes to doomsday or whatever it is. Yeah. Did you notice that early on in the interview, Putin took his watch off, put it on?
I saw that.
What does
The
that
minute
mean?
he said, "Are we having a serious
Yes.
conversation?"
So
or
we're
is
gonna have
this
a serious
show?
conversation.
Is
Is
it
it
a
a
serious
show or a
conversation?
serious conversation? And he
Yeah.
asked again. As you said at the beginning, this is a serious conversation.
And he
This
took his
isn't a
watch
show.
off.
Took his watch off, almost as if that, okay, time doesn't exist.
Time doesn't matter.
We're here.
Mhm.
And we're having the discussion, you and me, we're going to have a serious conversation. I don't care about the time. It was, I mean, you got to respect the guy. I mean, there's something more there. He's a genuine person. He's a real leader. He's thoughtful. He's a historian. I think he cares about his people.
Mhm.
I mean, and
And
really,
he should,
he
like
should.
Sean said.
He's the leader of the people. So, you got to look out for the people.
Yeah. Oh.
Not a big Putin, guy. I shouldn't even have to explain myself. He cares more about his people than any president that I've not voted for in this country. Put it that way.
Yeah.
That
Well,
has
and
become
that's what,
president.
like Sean had said, like, I don't care if you say, I love coal and whatever. If you live in West Virginia and that's good for people of West Virginia and whatever, like, then I don't care if it is terrible for carbon and whatever, because that's good for the people of West Virginia. So
Isn't it not? Are we not in a representative republic? So the people who come out of West Virginia should represent big coal, should represent the workers
Right.
of West Virginia. I mean, people come from Illinois, they should represent, farmers. I mean,
Right.
because
So
that's
he should
what
be
we do
Russia
here.
first. We're not saying we are Russia first. I am America first, but it's honorable that he is Russia first.
Yeah, I mean, I admire someone who wants to stand up for the people and the historical heritage, the cultural, people of, his, within his boundaries, within his, and it's just like Illinois. I don't respect Dick Durbin. He's a senator. I do not respect I can't even think of her name. I can picture her, because I don't vote for her. Anyway, accident, wheelchair. I mean, she's no legs. I can't even think of her name. But because I don't resonate with her. But they don't respect the people of Illinois. They don't stand for the people of Illinois. They might stand for Chicago. I mean, if you call that Illinois, but I mean, the majority of Illinois, if you look at the map, it's the land that people own are, I mean, you got a bunch of rural people. They don't represent us. I want somebody who represents me. And those people don't represent me. A bunch of warmongers, and you got Dick Durbin and all these Senate committees, shutting people down, not letting people talk. I mean, that's not a representative republic. So,
Yeah,
I respect people who represent the people.
yeah. Oh gosh, Mark Blackburn has done such a good job lately at these hearings. I love it. I love listening to him. Yellen. Oh God, we didn't even talk about. There were some financial hearings this week, and Yellen was saying that instead of saying that we had inflation, she said it's not inflation, it's that you have more buying power. It's like,
what are you buying?
I was like,
you have more buying power with Bitcoin? I mean, what do you have buying power of? A new house? No, I'm sorry, but houses are historically way high,
Oh
you
my
know, compared to
God, it was
salaries.
insane.
Buying power of what? Cube steaks?
I was completely insane. It was
But it's just these people live in a different world. I mean, they're completely out of touch. They're vampires. I mean, they really are. They live in the castle. And at what point do we, you know, get the torches out? Because enough is enough. And nobody wants that to happen. It's because it doesn't need to happen because we outnumber them to such a massive degree. It's just, you just say no. I mean, you just don't participate. You just pull your energy. You're the energy. You're feeding it, you know, and you just stop doing it in whatever way that you can at your personal level. You don't feed the big machine. You don't, you know, you just, you know, they're, I mean, you think about, okay, you know, I grew up in an area, Peoria, Illinois, where you've got Caterpillar. It used to be the headquarters here. They moved it to Chicago area. Now they're going to move it to Texas because Illinois is a piece of crap state as far as business. But I remember the days where, you know, the unions, you know, the people that worked, I mean, they'd have work slowdowns. I mean, they would do things to kind of, you know, make it difficult for management because they're like, hey, you know, we're not getting paid what we're supposed to get paid. And you guys are making all this money. I mean, you're making all these profits. I mean, you know, we're doing all the work. You're sitting up there counting beans.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know what? We might do things, we'll show up, but we're not going to do things that make you productive. And so you got to have that mindset of, okay, all right, I see what's happening. And that's the way it is throughout life, to where, you know, you realize you're getting screwed and you're like, all right, okay, I see what's happening. So I'm going to give you the energy that you deserve. And that's it. And we all have the ability to do that. I mean, why are you going to bust your butt for somebody that's going to just, you know, kick you in the face? And so that's where we are as people in this country. I mean, why are we going to do things for you that don't benefit any of us? Again, we got a wide open border, yet buses, you know, how much money are these people getting paid to drive the buses up there and drop people off in Chicago? And then they get off and they get, you know, in New York, same thing. They get these debit cards full of money and they, you know, they sleep in the police station. The police can't do their job because they're stepping over people. And I mean, it's just like, what is going on here? So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
You know, if you take your energy and you put it in good things, you put it in things that are productive, that are useful. Again, like you said, Lisa, and I cut you off earlier, it's, you know, find heirloom seeds. You can still get them now. You couldn't get them with the supply chain crunch, you know, a couple of years ago. But now you can go out and get, there are certain websites where you can get the can of seeds, you know, in the vacuum sealed packs that'll last for 5 years, and you can get them for under $30. And I mean, that will sustain you for the rest of your life, because once you plant it, right. And you can do this with, you know, seeds from the store. You know, if you get organic food, take the seed out of the tomato and save it and grow it, put it in the ground and grow it and, you know, produce food. And so we have to become self-sufficient, because I mean, everything they're doing is to destroy us, to make, I mean, all these seeds they're planted out here, you know, here I am in Illinois, all these seeds in the fields, they're GMO seeds. They're buying them from all these big seed companies. They're not, you know, they're reproducible to where they can't harvest them off the corn ear. They can't harvest them off the beans and replant them next year. No, they got to go to the seed company. They're getting their handouts from the government. They're getting subsidized. And it's a bunch of big factory farms. We need to say, okay, enough is enough. I don't want any of that. I'm going to start producing my own food. I don't have much land, but you know what? I got a windowsill. I got this, I got that. I got a little bit of dirt. I mean, we've got to start producing those things so that, you know, when it bears fruit, take the seeds and do it again. And I mean, that's how we become independent, because ultimately that's the energy source that we need. We need to eat. So we've got to take control of our food supply and make sure it's clean, so that we're clean people and we have clean bodies and we're not asking our doctor what's right for us. I mean, you know, this is really the way to take back humanity. And I mean, we need to do those things. We really do.
Yeah. And teach your kids how to fish. Teach your kids
exactly. You know, don't give them the fish. Teach them how to fish.
Right.
You know, give them the tools to learn where energy comes from and how abundant it really is on this earth. because it really is. I mean, don't let anybody tell you that it's not a world of abundance, because it really is. They're trying to do everything they can do to make sure that it is not a world of abundance with all the pesticides and stuff they throw in the air and into the soil. But you got to overcome that, and that's what we do as human beings. We cannot let the vampires win. We can't.
Jeff says, "Can I grow a cow indoors?" No. However, the kids at Pebbleton Post had an interview with a really interesting lady that talked about having incubators and being able to grow quail and survive on quail eggs and quail, like even in apartments and stuff. So there are options for meat, even in small areas. Anyway, kind of interesting. Any more thoughts? I know we're hoping to have a birthday spaces later.
Yeah, we'll have a birthday spaces. Well, heck, it is later now. Just jump right into it. Yeah. I'm just looking at the chat real quick. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I really appreciate it. Lisa appreciates it. It's
yes, I'm grateful for
we need to get the information out, and really it comes down to inspiring other people, inspiring each other to, because you already know what the truth is. You already know you're getting screwed. You already know that they're trying to give you a false reality. You know what your reality is, and you know the truth. You already have it inside. You're born with it. It's in your DNA. Just express that DNA. Put it out there into the universe, because if you do that's what kills them. That's the light that you put out there that extinguishes vampires. And the vampire analogy that I always use is exactly that. They don't exist in the light. They don't exist if they can't take your energy. That's what destroys them, not being able to feed, and then shining light on them that destroys them, the light of truth. And so that's all you need to do. That's how powerful you are. It's just that simple. One light match in the darkness, lights up a lot of darkness, even though it's pitch black. And then you get another match, and pretty soon, everything's lit up and you can see what's going on. And they can't hide anymore. So don't let them deceive you. Follow your path. Know who you are. You're born. You're here for a reason. You were born for this time. Don't live a life of regret on your deathbed and say, I should have done something. I had the ability to do something and I didn't do it. Don't be that person. Don't be that person that didn't buy Litecoin at $70 when it could have changed your life because it's an economic tool on the battlefield that you didn't pick up. Do the right things. Silver, $22, $23. Pick that stuff up. What's the worst that can happen? You got it. You got the weapon. You never had to use it. So better to have it and not need it.
And better to just be out of the system. I think about when we're on the road and doing our classes, which we will do again. But in that one example, when I sent you that example of the 5 silver quarters, that was minimum wage in 64, 65?
64, the last year of the 90% silver quarters.
Yeah, that was minimum wage. And so it's not that minimum wage is broken, it's that the money's broken. The money has devalued.
You should be getting $20 an hour minimum wage, because that's what silver, if those 5 quarters are worth now, $20.
If we had stayed on if we stayed in silver for those quarters, they would be worth $20.
Yep. Right. And if you'd held those quarters, you would have preserved your wealth.
That's right.
So, put your energy into something that's going to hold value. Again, don't put it in the leaky battery of the dollar that they devalue, that it leaks. Put it in something that's going to hold value over time. And silver's way undervalued, and it's still, look at what it did. Look at what it did, from 1964 to now. What's that? 40, 60 years now? Holy cow. Just crazy. It preserved your wealth. It preserved your energy, and that's what we need to do, preserve our energy, because, they're just trying to rob us of our energy. So find things that are going to be vessels across time, like a time capsule, to hold that energy throughout time. There are things that can do that, and obviously silver is one of them, gold is one of them, and I think cryptocurrency in the new digital age is one of those things too. So put have a basket of those things. all the things that you're going to need. Obviously have food, and have those things. But, if you want a form of money that's going to hold value over time, those are things that can do it, I think.
Useful things. And
Yes.
friendships, community, people you can lean on and
Priceless.
learn from. Joanna's put in
Priceless.
I know some of the other people are putting like tips in the chat. So Josh Lake was saying eggs for life with the quail, and he said indoor rabbits too. And Joanna was talking about a way to heat your home in a small with a small way or small resources. So
take some old cans and get yourself a rocket fuel heater and make it yourself. Go out on YouTube and find those things. I mean, go back to those things. I mean,
and buy books that have these kind of survival things. Yeah, for $1 at estate sales or in thrift stores, things like that have cooking, canning, those kind of resources in it, so that if, God forbid, the interwebs goes down, you can have those things, how to make bread from scratch, those kind of things.
Be your own bank, be your own bakery, be your own library, be your own, everything, and it doesn't take much. I mean, but it's cheap to do right now. So do it now before it's too late and, it becomes a scarce commodity.
That's right. All right. Well, everybody wish Westwood a very happy birthday. I'm going to let us go out with a little bit of music. I'm going to leave up the QR code and his address for a little bit, so you guys can get out your favorite wallet and shoot
Feed the dogs.
Happy birthday, Litecoin. And we'll see you over on Clint Westwood's Spaces tonight.
On X. On Twitter, X.
Twitter.
Yes. Love you all. Thanks for being here.
Love you guys. Happy birthday, Westwood. We love you.
Thank you.